Live from San Francisco, the entertainment capital of the world, Tom Wolfe presents Cocktail Time. This week's featured cocktail, the Martini, with the music of Ray Bloch and the Hallmark Symphony Orchestra. Hallmark, when you care enough to send the very best. And now, without any further ado, this is Mike King introducing the host of our show, Mr. Tom Wolfe.
Wow. What an introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Martini time today. And I want to thank Mike King for that wonderful, golden-throated announcement. So thank you, Mike, for that introduction. You know, Mike King, once upon a time, was my boss. And we had a little chat, and now he's working as the staff announcer here. Thank you, Mike. You're the best. And also the music of Ray Bloch and his Hallmark Orchestra, the flower of the musical world, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ray. We'll just take that right on down. Now, we're here to talk about serious stuff today. It's mainly about martinis. And I don't claim to be a master mixologist. I will leave that to people like my dear friend Bobby Gonzalez. Shout out to you in Chicago. But I do know how to mix a few cocktails. And my favorite is the martini. And I think I've perfected what I consider to be, if not the perfect martini, certainly pretty darn close. So, pretty easy to make a martini. We don't have a lot of ingredients. We've got mainly gin right here, and we've got vermouth. Vermouth plays just a supporting role in this. It's not a really important ingredient, but it's necessary nevertheless. So we've got our gin. I'm using Bombay Sapphire. Now you could use any kind of gin that you want, but use a good one. Tanqueray is good. Bombay Sapphire is good. There's a lot of new up-and-coming brands. We even have some local brands here that are good. But whatever you do, don't use rot gut gin or you'll regret it the next day, if not sooner. So Bombay Sapphire is my gin of choice. Bombay also makes another gin, which is regular, just the Bombay gin. And Bombay Sapphire has more fragrance to it, more of the juniper, the berries, the things that give flavor to gin, which is why I like it. Bombay Sapphire, incidentally, when it gives it a kind of almost a Far East flavor to it. And when I was in the Far East, not too long ago, Bombay Sapphire is marketed over there as Bombay East. So it's a little different. Having said all that, let's get down to business here. We've got the gin, we've got the vermouth, we've got the other things we need, cocktail shaker. Now, I've sort of done a little fast forwarding here. I filled the cocktail shaker already almost to the top. Don't know if the audience at home can see this, but it's filled with cracked ice. Very, very important that you use cracked ice. See? Has a different sound than the ice cubes. And you want to do that because cracked ice gives you much more of a flavor, and it does a much better job of mixing. We'll see about that in a minute. One cocktail shaker filled with cracked ice. Let's get to work on that, folks. What we're going to do is we're going to fill this, not going to fill it, we're going to put vermouth in here. Now, vermouth's not that important, so it doesn't really matter what kind you have, as long as it's a dry vermouth. This is Martini and Rossi, extra dry vermouth. Nothing very exotic about it. You can get it at your neighborhood Safeway or whatever your market is in the neighborhood. And I'm pouring maybe a jigger, half a jigger in there is really enough. All right, we'll put that back here. And we're going to shake that shaker right now. We're going to get right to work on that. Shake it on up. Okay. So where did the martini come from? Anybody know? Huh? Where was it invented? Right here in San Francisco. I'm pouring this out, by the way. And what I'm pouring out is the vermouth that I put in there and a little bit of the melted water from the ice cubes. And what have I got left now? I've got ice cubes that are infused with vermouth. And that's all the vermouth you need in a good martini. There was a hotel downtown in the financial district that served a cocktail called the Martinez. And the Martinez was named after the city of Martinez, which is over in the East Bay. The drill was you'd go to the hotel bar after work, stop in and have your Martinez cocktail, and then get on the ferry boat and head back to Martinez itself. So kind of an interesting story on that. And that's about all you need to know as far as the origins go. Okay, we've got our infused cracked ice in there. We are now going to add the most important ingredient of all, which is the gin. Bombay Sapphire, hello gorgeous. Now I've got about, can I say now, after doing that, I've got about just over a half full of ice. I could measure it, but why bother? I'm going to just pour it in because I know how much it's going to take. And I'm pouring it to kind of just above the halfway mark, which will give me just the right amount for 2 martinis. I've got a whole bunch of shakers here from all over the world, and my favorite one is this little fellow here. This is one that you can even take with you when you travel, so if you want to have that solitary martini, feel free. All right, gin is now in the shaker, and now comes the most important part, shaking the whole thing up. All right, here we go. Now you don't want to do a real quick shake on this. You want to really work it in there, okay? Really get it nice and shaky, okay? Meanwhile, I'm going to pour out my martini glasses, which were chilling. I hope I don't splash too much. There we are. There's one. There's the other. I had these chilling with a little ice and water in there because you want to have a chilled martini glass always when you do serve this. So shake it a little bit more and let's see how we did on our portion control, as it were. All right, here's martini number 1. By the way, the outside has got ice on it now. Isn't that great? There's 1, and there's number 2. Oh dear me, do I have a little bit left over? Gosh. Well, we'll just put that aside here. And I know you're saying these martini glasses don't match, so sorry. But one of them is very special because if you look very carefully on that, you can see the Playboy logo. This was Hef's glass. Well, it wasn't really, but good story, don't you think? All right, now, wait a minute, something's missing here. We've got 2 beautiful martinis here, but we've got to garnish them. What do you garnish them with? Well, a couple of choices here. You've got olives. These are kind of big olives, and they are stuffed with jalapenos. The normal cocktail olive is a little smaller than this and has a pimento, pima in it. So, olive stuffed with pimentos. You can get these in any store. Let's put that in this one here. And then for the other one, I've made a couple of twists. So you can say with a twist, boom, there it is, twist. And you know what? I'm going to even go crazy and I want to add this to it. That is how you make a martini, my way. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you like a vodka martini, you can always get that. I recommend use Grey Goose. But vodka tends to have very little flavor, so you don't get much of a flavor with that, but a lot of people like to have a vodka martini. Technically, when you go to a bar and you ask for a martini, the default is to gin. Should never be, these days the bartenders will ask you, do you want to have gin or do you want to have vodka? And of course, my answer is pretty simple. Bombay Sapphire, if you please. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And while we're at it,
A sigh.
Cheers.
Is just a sigh. A sigh 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 is just a sigh. A sig the fundamental things.
How sweet it is. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Goes by. And when two lovers woo, they still say I love you. On that you can rely. No matter what the future brings as time goes by.